Welcome everyone. Today's video is a Perpetual Futures Dex review and we're taking a look at Rage Trade. So Rage Trade is a Perpetual Futures Dex that has been around for a while. I want to say like September of 2021, but since then it's evolved from its own Perpetual Futures Dex into a Perpetual Futures Dex aggregator. So what that means is that it sits on top of various other Perpetual Futures Dexes out there. So it's integrated GMX, Hyperliquid, Avo, and Synthetics. And so it sits on top of those Perpetual Futures Dexes, and you're able to see the different prices that you would get if you traded on those various other ones, as well as the funding rates, and it will tell you basically the best route to go. So I'm taking a look at Ethereum right now, and it's showing us the different Perpetual Futures Dexes that I could trade through. And Rage Trade here is recommending us to use Synthetics to open up an Ethereum long, as it's got the best funding rates, the best price, and the lowest fees. So if you are going to be trading on Rage Trade, you will be saving a bit of money versus going to any one of these other Perpetual Futures Dexes independently. So that's something that's really cool about Rage Trade, and you can think of it working similarly to something like Jupiter or 1inch. But this is specifically for Perpetual Futures Dexes, and it's a lot better than some of the other Perpetual Futures Dexes aggregators that I've actually seen out there. So if you want to get started trading on Rage Trade, get yourself set up with a MetaMask wallet. If you don't know how to do that, I'll leave a link in the description down below. So once you've done that, once you've funded a wallet, you need to get some funds over to Arbitrum. And so they have this bridge/swap thing that you can click here. And so this bridge/swap function is integrated in with Live Finance. So effectively, it's just a bridge aggregator in itself, and it can take you from various different EVM chains over to Arbitrum. So you want to go ahead and do that. And once you've got your funds in, you can get started with Rage Trade. So let's just say, for example, I wanted to trade Ethereum, and I wanted to go through Hyperliquid to place my Ethereum long. So if I did want to trade through Hyperliquid, I'd already need to set up a Hyperliquid account. I'll have a link in the description down below. So once you've set up your Hyperliquid account, you'll need to fund it. So I've got about $543 in my Hyperliquid account here. And so if I wanted to open a position, I just go $100, and then this thing should finish loading. I press execute, and it'll say long ETH on Hyperliquid, and we can see that my position has opened up down here. So we can see my position size, collateral, entry price, current price, my liquidation price, and my current profit and loss. Now, if I go over to Hyperliquid, we can see that the position has opened up here as well. And I can close this position either on Rage Trade or on Hyperliquid if I wanted to. So let's try now. Let me close 50% of the position here, and we'll see what happens on Rage Trade. So my position value here on Hyperliquid is now about $50. And if we go to Rage Trade, we can see my position is now about $50 as well. Now, if I wanted to close out the rest of this, I can just go into short, then short ETH on Hyperliquid. And then we can see this position close. And if I go back to Hyperliquid, this position should close as well. And there we go. And so this is just an easier way of trading on these various different Perpetual Futures Dexes without having to individually go to them, and it will give you the best prices. Now let's just say if I wanted to trade on Avo. So again, you'll need to have set up an account on Avo. I have a link in the description down below. And let's just do a $100 long on Avo. Let's long some ETH on Avo. I am going to need to change over to Ethereum mainnet in order to do this, but once I've done that, this long should go through, and there we go. And then if I go onto Avo itself, we can see that my perp position has opened, which is pretty cool. So now that we've gone over what Rage Trade is and how to make a trade, let's take a look into some of the positives of trading on Rage Trade. And the first is that it has a massive universe of tradable markets because it's integrated with GMX, Hyperliquid, Avo, and Synthetics. If you click on the markets here, you can see all the various different markets that you're able to trade. The ones that aren't listed will include the pre-markets available on Hyperliquid and Avo. But as you can see here, you can see the different markets where they're tradable. So DYDX, for example, is tradable on Hyperliquid, Avo, and Synthetics, but it's not tradable on GMX. Flow is only tradable on synthetics, and you have easily over 100 markets here available to trade on Rage Trade. Another great feature is that it is an aggregator, so it's telling you the best routes to go if you want to trade any particular market. So if I take Chainlink, for example, it's telling me that synthetics will give me the best price and the lowest fee. However, the lowest funding rates are coming from GMX V1, and if I want to, I can trade on GMX V2 and receive fee rebates. Another excellent feature of Rage Trade is that you can use it to farm other points programs that these perpetual futures dexes are launching themselves. So Hyperliquid, for example, they have their own point system going, so you can earn points on Hyperliquid simply by trading there, but you can use Rage Trade to trade through Hyperliquid and still earn those points. Additionally, Avo is doing their own version of trade to earn Avo, and so the more you trade on Avo, the more Avo tokens you can claim, and you can also do this through Rage Trade. Another bonus of Rage Trade is that you can use multiple different collaterals in order to trade. Because they've integrated GMX V2, you can actually use Ethereum as your collateral to trade against here. So I can trade my $30 worth of Ethereum here. Now, when it comes to the negatives of Rage Trade, there are some features that are missing that you'll find on these other perpetual futures dexes like Hyperliquid. And one of them that I'd really like to see are things like stop market orders and stop limit orders. I like to set stop losses, and that's not something that you can do in Rage Trade. And one last thing before I end the video off, I'm pretty sure Rage Trade is doing an airdrop at some point. And so if you wanted to increase your eligibility for a potential Rage Trade airdrop, you want to put as much volume through as possible. And one way that you could do this, for example, is by opening up a long on Avalanche and then a short on Avo. So they could both be $100 each. And in that way, you create a delta neutral position, which means that the price of Avalanche could go up, down, or sideways. It doesn't really matter. Your $200 would remain the same. So I can just show you an example of this now. I'll just do $100 long on Hyperliquid. And then I'll open up a $100 short on Avo. And there you go, that's how you'd execute that particular trade. So that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. There is a link in description down below to Rage Trade. Use it to support the channel. So thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one.